Welcome to the Baseball Insiders, back from a holiday weekend on a Tuesday. I am Adam Weinreb alongside FanSided's MLB insider Robert Murray, and no more teams have seen their seasons end since the last time we spoke after the end of the wild card round. But damn, a couple of teams are close. Robert, we've got plenty of surprises to sift through. Did you think we'd be here talking about the teams on life support that we're currently dissecting?
I can't say I did. Well, first of all, Adam, it's always a pleasure to be here with you. But what in the world has been going on in this postseason series here? And there was one team that I thought could have a realistic shot of getting upset here in this round, and I thought it was the Los Angeles Dodgers. I just didn't expect it to be against the Arizona Diamondbacks. I thought that was going to be the Milwaukee Brewers that were going to be taking or just beating the Dodgers here, but could have never seen this happening with the Orioles. I think a lot of it has to do with how good the Rangers are, but crazy that we might have a couple of 100-win teams here get bounced immediately. But here we're going to dissect it all, of course. Adam, how you doing, my friend?
How you doing, dude? Yeah, all that and more. The rest versus rust debate, whether it's bad or good for baseball if the 100-win squads go home early. What was the most impressive part of the Braves' season-saving play last night to end Game 2 of that division series? Plus some front office upheaval in New York, Flushing specifically, and Houston, a team that is still in the middle of the ALDS. Why is that happening? But if you want to use any of that information and more to fix your betting futures and you don't have a Bet365 account, today's the day, because they just dropped a new offer for the MLB postseason as part of a promotion that supports this podcast. New users who register with our code BASEBALLIN, it's right there on the screen, are now eligible to receive $150 in bonus bets. All you have to do is deposit $10 and place a $5 wager on any game. Once that first bet settles, you'll receive $150 in bonus bets, even if you lose. Just make sure to use the code BASEBALLIN when you sign up. By using our code, you not only receive those $150 in bonuses, but you'll also be directly supporting the show. So if you've not signed up for Bet365, join with the code BASEBALLIN, place that first bet. This offer is available to new customers who are 21 plus and physically present in legal gambling states. Please remember to always gamble responsibly. Check the episode description for the full terms of the offer to see if you qualify. And I found my glasses today for the first time since I moved, to encourage you all to join the Discord if you haven't. The Baseball Insiders Discord. Become a member of our YouTube channel. Chat with us between shows. Plenty of people in there right now trying to decide if Dave Roberts is in any sort of danger as the Dodgers season threatens to end way too soon. Again, this could be a 2022 rerun. Could be a 2021 rerun. Could be a 2019 podcast. I skipped 2020 for a reason. Nobody knows, but Robert and I will get into that certainly in this episode and in the Discord as well. And where better place to start than that playoff scheduling conversation that the Atlanta Braves appeared to fight pretty hard against yesterday by coming back from 4-0 down, averting a no-hitter, averting disaster, beating Zach Wheeler, cutting him mid-game, 2-run d'Arnaud homer, really makes this a tight one. And then ultimately Austin Riley delivers the big blow and the Braves defense comes through. For some reason, everybody decided to question this playoff format when the Atlanta Braves behemoth had lost one postseason game. A lot of teams go down to 1-0 in series. That is, in fact, normal. But Twitter and baseball and analysts in 2023 decided for whatever reason to take a stand this year when it looked like a bunch of solid teams were going to face 1-0 deficits. This is all very silly to me, but I don't know how you feel about this being the dominant conversation early in this very exciting postseason.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised it's getting this much talk. And it's something that, did I think about it at first? Even when the postseason, was starting? Yeah, I did. It's possible for sure to have rust, but the degree of it's being discussed now, I think, is way overblown. And you look at the Braves, it's similar thing happened to them last year where they ended up getting bounced early. And then all of a sudden they go down 1-0 immediately to the Phillies. And it feels like, oh boy, here we go again. And all of a sudden we're having columns coming out saying that the postseason format should be discussed and a 5-day break is too much. And like, here's the thing: is if the Braves didn't have that 5-day break there, there's a shot that Max Fried isn't ready to pitch in this series, or pitch early in the series at least. And like, even during the break, they were doing different things to try to prepare for that break. They were doing like full squad games where they'd have half the team on one team and like half the other team, or half the team on the other team, and they'd face off and try to have like a scrimmage or something along those lines. And I think it's being way overblown. I don't think they should change the format at all. Will it suck though if, let's say, the Orioles, who won 100 plus games this year, don't make it? Would it suck if the Braves don't make it? Would it suck if the Dodgers don't make it? I mean, yeah, I mean, they were really good during the regular season, but that's postseason baseball. It's supposed to be unpredictable. It is unpredictable. And even then, like, let's say like those teams are all eliminated. You have the Phillies, who were my sneaky team coming into this postseason to represent it, the National League in the World Series. You'd have the Diamondbacks. There you go, the Phillies right there. You would have the Rangers, and then you'd have either the Twins or the Astros in this thing. That's still good baseball. So to me, I don't think they should make any changes.
It's just funny that it's the conversation we're having now. It's not like this didn't used to happen. Like, look at the Braves should have won the NL in the 90s every year of the 90s. They didn't. On paper, the Atlanta Braves, they didn't used to do it offensively so much. It was, Chipper Jones, Andrew, of course, but Smoltz, Maddox, Glavine. These guys will never lose a short series. And then what happened time and again, they lost a short series. I don't remember Maddox or Smoltz saying, that was let's abolish that. The Marlins beat us with Livan Hernandez. There's something rotten with the format. We got to throw it all out and start over. That's just baseball. That's been baseball since they stopped advancing league winners right to the World Series. We're going on like 60 years of this being baseball. If your powerhouse team can't withstand a 5-day break, can't figure out a way to break that rhythm, can't figure out a way to reintroduce your routine, then I don't think you're as strong a roster as you maybe indicated you were during the regular season. This is certainly year many in a row of the Dodgers doing exactly this. So is that a formatting problem, or is that a Dodgers problem? It certainly kind of feels like a Dodgers issue to me.
Oh, 100%. And that's why I posted in the Discord wondering if the Dodgers get swept or if they end up losing this series, should Dave Roberts be let go? I know it's something that's been discussed in recent years when the Dodgers have gotten eliminated in the postseason, but the Dodgers have obviously they've kept him in place. But I think if they end up getting swept this year, they might have to have themselves a really honest conversation as an organization about what they do at the helm, because this is an extremely important offseason for the Dodgers. And I feel like you've said that, or we've said that quite a bit in recent years, but especially so this year, because all indications are they are going to go all out for Shohei Ohtani. And you're gonna when you sign Ohtani, or when you have this kind of roster full of talent and all this money invested, you want to have the right person at the job. And when you spend all that money, you also expect World Series. You don't expect to get bounced either in the NLCS or even in the NLDS. You expect to go all the way. And if they end up getting swept, then I think they have to have that conversation. That being said, I don't know what they're going to do, though. I genuinely have no clue. That's a very hard organization to predict. They love Dave Roberts. They've stuck by him in years past when things have not gone well, but this would be a pretty tough exit. This would be a really tough exit.
Yeah, let's zero in on the Dodgers, because this goes beyond now. I think a lot of us thought, okay, Clayton Kershaw is injured, but the Dodgers are out of options. So the fact that he's starting game one, I don't know if I did not have the utmost faith in Clayton Kershaw, but it didn't necessarily shake my faith in the Dodgers winning this series. I didn't think Kershaw would get beat that badly, but I thought they would come back last night and look a little bit more like the regular season team we were used to. Losing last night's game shocked me and sort of sent me into this tailspin. And it's rough, because what the Dodgers have tried recently is they've had to battle with the Yankees fan-esque complaint of something's wrong here. Maybe it's Roberts, maybe it's analytics, like maybe it's just the core is getting stale or whatever. And so this season, they introduced a whole lot of new players. James Outman is having a rookie of the year type season. Bobby Miller gets called up. All these pitchers get called up. Miguel Rojas and David Peralta are here to provide the non-analytics flair, the gritty traditional baseball. Like an article dropped this week that they all take celebratory tequila shots after every series win during the regular season. I think that was Fabian's. Like they're all like they're going all in on turnover, intangibles, tangibles, superstars, rookies. They changed this roster a ton year over year. And if anything, their playoff performance has been worse than last season against San Diego. We may have all seen the Kershaw, a Kershaw loss or a start where he didn't quite look like himself, but I certainly did not see them flatlining worse than previous bad incarnations of the Dodgers in the postseason.
No, I'm right there with you. Like, because last year when they lost to the Padres, that kind of felt like it was rock bottom as far as the postseason. But potentially getting swept by the Arizona Diamondbacks, who won a little over 80. What was it? 86 games was it?
And at the end of the season, they came into the playoffs cold. Like,
yeah.
if anything, they got bodied in their last season by Houston, and you were saying that's why we all thought the Brewers were going to be able to survive them even without Brandon Woodruff. It's like, okay, exactly. Upstart season, and you came into the playoffs ice cold, so we'll see you next year. But no.
Yeah. And I'll give the Diamondbacks credit too. Is like, so against the Brewers had plenty of different opportunities on offense to get like runs in that game, or in those games, but they just did not come through at all. And Evan Longoria played a phenomenal third base in that series. And in this series too, it's like you look at the Dodgers, they're more offensive heavy than pitching. Like pitching is a big time struggle for them right now because they've got Clayton Kershaw and a bunch of these young guys, and they've been able to beat them pretty soundly. They've kept their offense relatively in check, and their pitching has been a huge issue. And like, I think we're at the point now with Clayton Kershaw and like the state of his shoulder and just the state of where he's at in his career, where I think retirement's going to have to be a serious option for him because he's as big time of a competitor as it gets. And I can't imagine he's happy with how this is playing out, especially like the last half of this year. He just does not look like the old Clayton Kershaw, which is really unfortunate. And then they were also relying on a lot of these young guys. And we saw it once again last night. They dropped a 3 spot in the first inning. The Diamondbacks did, I should say, and had an early lead. And if you give an early lead to Zach Gallen, that is not a recipe for success for your team. So, it's got the Dodgers on the brink. And honestly, I have relatively zero confidence that they're going to be able to get out of this one. It's pretty dire right now.
Absolutely. I'm stunned by how little confidence I have coming out of game 2. They're going to Arizona against an untested playoff opponent, not really a legendary home field either. Like, I'm sure the fans will show up, but I don't think anybody's like, oh, and now they have to win in the snake pit. Are you kidding me? Like, another Dodgers team, you would be like, okay, fine, go on the road, face Brandon Pfaadt. Like, you'll win game 3 and then see where you are. And Justin in the comments is a Dodger fan talking about how they were outclassed at this year's and last year's deadline. I have next to no faith in this team, and I'm just sort of waiting for the inevitable Clayton Kershaw injury announcement, surgery announcement. Like, we might learn the full extent of the shoulder injury, and we might learn it soon.
Yeah, for sure. And I'd imagine, I don't know what that will all entail, but I'd imagine the guy to follow for that one, it would be Andy McCullough, because there's not a writer in this country who knows Clayton Kershaw better than Andy. And I imagine when that news eventually drops, it'll be through Andy. And if this is the end for Kershaw, one hell of a career for sure, a Hall of Famer, one of the best pitchers of my generation or this generation, but just a really sad way for him to go out if this is actually it.
Yeah, and nothing about that first inning was accidental. That was all extremely hard contact. I mean, other than Kershaw, Justin is asking, what is next other than the Kershaw decision, the Ohtani conversation? You'd have to imagine they just have to add 2 top-tier starting pitchers this offseason, and then it just goes from there.
Yeah, for sure. And the Julio Urias situation complicates things a lot because I thought they were going to be in position where they were probably going to be the favorite to re-sign him. Now with his future uncertain exactly what that's going to look like, who do they pursue? Like a Jordan Montgomery type could make a lot of sense there. I've wondered for the longest time if they could pursue some of the hometown kids that grew up Dodger fans, and that's Lucas Giolito or even a Jack Flaherty type. Obviously, they were connected to Giolito at the deadline, although perhaps it was telling that I think from all the intel I gathered, it was Lance Lynn who was their top target. And Josh W., you ask a phenomenal question. Could Corbin Burns be a target for the Dodgers? I definitely wouldn't rule it out. I know how much I know how highly that organization thinks of Willie Adames. Obviously, like, he struggled this year. Homer, like, his power production was still there for sure, but coming off of a bit of a down year. But if the Dodgers could somehow find a way to get a Burns and Adames type in a trade, again, I'm going to say it's more highly unlikely than anything. But the Dodgers explore anything. I mean, they obviously acquired Max Scherzer and Trey Turner a couple years ago. Who says they can't go out and do it again with Burns and Adames? I think it's unlikely, but I think that's something they're absolutely going to explore. I feel relatively confident about that.
They need to get Adames so that in the biggest at-bat of next postseason, they can pinch hit Colton Wong for him. So they definitely need to grab him.
Yeah, and I also think it was really telling. Maybe not really telling, but Matt Arnold, the Brewers general manager, went on the record today and said that he anticipates Burns being there next year, but that they're going to listen and wouldn't rule anything out. So, I wonder. I know there's a lot of people in baseball who are eyeing that one up. And if Burns became available, he instantly vaults himself to probably the best pitcher on the market. And you can probably even take the word probably out of that, because he's that good and he's that highly thought of and that highly coveted. And the Brewers could get an absolute haul for him in what is going to be the last year of his contract.
That does change everything if he is made available. The Dodgers are down 0-2 and feel like it's a death rattle there. The American League also has a 100-plus win team down 0-2. The Baltimore Orioles got hit by the top seed bug, lost both at home, lost a squeaker that it felt like they were about to come back against Aroldis Chapman in the 8th and didn't, and then lost a slugfest where they got hit in the mouth like the Dodgers did in game 1. They find themselves down 0-2 heading to Texas as well, and I don't have a lot of faith in them making noise there either. I think the Dodgers could win game 3 of their series. I don't know if the Orioles have a shot to even extend this. We asked last series, is it more about the Rays or the Rangers? For you, is this more about the Orioles coming up far too short and continuing the offensive malaise they showed in the last 2 weeks of the regular season? Or is it about Evan Carter with the patience of a veteran changing the Rangers' calculus in August out of nowhere, and the Rangers' excellent pitching depth carrying them through to an ALCS berth that seemed faded at one point, then faded away as they almost choked away their postseason appearance altogether. And now that Carter has helped settle that lineup and lengthen it, it's kind of like, all right, this is a juggernaut. And Bruce Bochy is, like we said a while back, probably the best manager in the postseason.
Oh, yeah, we said it before and I'll say it again. Bochy is absolutely the best manager in this postseason. And I think it says more about the Rangers than it does the Orioles at this point. Because if you look at the Orioles, they're obviously extremely talented and they're young, they're good. Like in the regular season, they showed just how high their ceiling was, but they're a team that still needs to learn to win. And I think this offseason, if anything, is proven that they could probably use a couple of more veteran leaders in that clubhouse to kind of teach that or show that team how to win. And especially in the postseason, because it's a different beast. And if you look at the Rangers, they have a Hall of Fame manager. They have excellent veterans in that rotation. They have good, obviously extremely good hitters in Corey Seager and Marcus Semien leading that offense. Then you have the emergence of Evan Carter. And I think that team has just done a masterful job in getting to this point. And they've done it without Jacob deGrom and Max Scherzer, which says a whole lot. And I wonder what this team would look like with both of those guys. Because, I mean, we're talking about, it would be completely stacked. And they showed flashes of this during the regular season for sure. They were obviously, they struggled at various points later in the season. And it was to the point where we were even questioning whether or not they'd make it to the postseason. And now they are one win away from the ALCS. And at this point, if they end up getting through the Orioles, they look like a surefire favorite to represent the American League in the World Series. And let's just say, like, my guess is it's either going to be for a World Series, Rangers in the AL against either the Braves or the Phillies. I think the winner of that series ultimately represents the National League in the World Series. We're talking about a damn good series right there, a really good series. My guess as of right now, we know how our predictions have gone. It's no bueno.
Bad.
But I'll do it again. I'm going with the Phillies and Rangers, and that would be an extremely exciting series. But man, not to look too far ahead, but I'm going to backtrack a little bit here. That Phillies Braves series is freaking awesome. I absolutely love it. That's great baseball. It's great baseball.
Yeah, let's talk Phillies Braves, because I honestly don't have much to say about Twins Astros, and game 3 is coming up in a couple of minutes here. I mean, shout out to Pablo Lopez. That is you want to see some dog in him. That is a road victory when it looked like Yordan Alvarez could not be stopped. That series is doing much more than I thought it would. I wouldn't count out the Twins at all. But again, I can't bet against the Astros until I see them go down. I am not going to say the Houston Astros are cooked. So we'll know much more about that after pivot game 3 in just a little bit. I kind of expect that to go 5. But again, Astros in 4 would not shock me. Phillies Braves, the play of the postseason yesterday. And I'm glad you said that you still have the Phillies in the World Series, because something about them, man, they got kicked in the teeth yesterday. And that did not shake my faith in them. I was just like, what a Braves performance. They got up off the mat. They made this a series, but it's not just the home field advantage. Nick Castellanos said it. He basically was like, that stings, and I'm glad it stings, because we're not going to let that derail us. And I believe in the mojo and the Phillies' ability to shake off previous losses more than any other playoff team. And I continue to believe in them, even if it goes to 5 and back to Truist Park.
Yeah, I am right there with you. And I think the perfect example of that is if you look at it last year when they played the Padres, there was a game early in that series. I can't remember if it was game 2 or what, but they got their teeth kicked. Yeah, and they bounced back immediately and overcame that and ultimately won the series. And I think that says a lot about that team last year. And if you look at this team, obviously there's some differences for sure, but like the core of it is relatively the same. I think the Braves are better this year than the Padres were last year. So it's going to be a tougher thing to overcome, but I think they're going to do it. I honestly do. And having 2 games in Philadelphia in that environment, which is, I think Jeff Passan of ESPN said it really well, that it's an SEC type environment in Philly. And that's going to be tough. It's going to be real tough. But I think Braves are going to be a tough opponent, but I think the Phillies are ultimately going to pull through here and win the series.
Yeah, the 104-win Braves with the 1927 Yankees offense could absolutely win this series, but I would still view that as a slight upset if they are able to take down this Phillies team. And you're 100% right. I think a lot of people lost it in the World Series run last year. Game 2 of the NLCS in San Diego, Phillies lead 1-0 on the road. They took a 4-0 lead in the second inning, and no, they didn't carry it quite as long as they did yesterday. But the Padres cut it to 4-2 in the second. It's 4-2 going into the 5th. That's when the wheels fell off. Austin Nola on Aaron Nola crime, all that stuff. And ultimately an 8-5 win for the Padres, and a game that you would call devastating if you didn't know that the Phillies went on to win games 3, 4, and 5 in that series. I completely trust the leadership of that team, the mettle they've shown. And look, it doesn't get more dramatic than what we saw last night. I'm having a hard time picking between Michael Harris's play in center and the Austin Riley overthrown cutoff running into the middle of the field, tossed to first. I honestly think the Riley backup was more impressive. I don't know how you feel, but that is a hallmark, Sterling, print it out, frame it, postseason win. If the Braves were looking for a spark, they just got it. And I still think the Phillies win this series.
Yeah, I still think they do too. And I'll tell you that Riley backup was extremely it was extremely impressive. And that's about as high of a baseball IQ play as you could possibly imagine. I think that's going to end up being kind of overlooked when you look at that kind of play. And I even think it's kind of overlooked now, but also it's going to in the future as well. But that was that's why the Braves paid Austin Riley what they did. Like that was a brilliant baseball play. But I got to go with the Michael Harris catch as like the most important part of that play, just because, I mean, if he doesn't, then we're talking about a tie ball. If he doesn't catch that, we're talking at least a tie ball game, and possibly maybe even if he whiffs, could that be an inside the park homer? I mean, valid question. I don't know if that necessarily would be the case, but like in order for that Austin Riley play to happen, Harris needed to catch that ball, and I think that was like the key part of it. But all around, the Harris catch, the Riley backup, and everything about that play symbolizes why the Braves are such a tough out. And in order to beat them in a 5-game series, in a 3-game series, in a 7-game series, whatever it is, you're almost going to have to be perfect. And the Phillies are going to have to be perfect.
Aaron Nola is going to have to shake off some previous postseason struggles. The bullpen, it rolls deep, but it also rolls deep with guys like Jeff Hoffman and Orion Kerkering, who just made his MLB debut like 2 weeks ago, which, like, when it works, we get to scream as loud as possible, like, Orion Kerkering! And when it doesn't work, you're like, that was rookie Orion Kerkering in the biggest inning of the season. So it's on the players to perform. I have faith in the Philadelphia Phillies and the infrastructure there, which apparently is led by Kyle Schwarber. And so if you want to win, you might as well throw some money at Kyle Schwarber, even if he hits 190. But yeah, there's certainly a chance that we look at the bullpen and we're like, oh, it's a bunch of green dudes. It's like a bunch of rookies. That makes sense. I understand why the Braves won games 3 and 4. But you and I are both riding with the Phils. Little bit of housekeeping, couple things to wrap up before we go. Some odd stuff throughout the game of baseball this week outside of the postseason. The New York Mets, who wish they were here but are instead shaking up the front office right after we went live last Thursday. Billy Eppler resigned from his position. It seemed like he was excited to continue under David Stearns. No hard feelings. Hey, you're going to take over baseball ops. I'll be your GM. I'll be your worthy lieutenant. Let's talk strategy. All of a sudden, he's gone. It turns out he's under investigation for improper manipulation of the injured list, something I'm fairly confident Brian Cashman does. If anybody wants to earn a cookie, they can go look into that. But I feel like a lot of people improperly manipulate the injured list. And so then it goes to, who's the whistleblower here? Who's got it out for Billy Eppler? What is this really about? How much did Steve Cohen know? And when did he know it? Probably all of it, but that's okay. What exactly did we just watch here? Like what I'm saying what we know, yeah, but nothing I'm saying really makes sense or adds up.
No, it was really bizarre when that news broke, or when the Mets announced that Eppler was resigning, and immediately it didn't pass a smell test. And so you knew something had to have happened, because when David Stearns was hired, it was clear, like, Eppler, he wanted Eppler there. He wanted him to be their GM. And by all accounts, from everything that I had heard, is that Eppler and Stearns were close. And all of a sudden he resigns. And it's because of the use of the phantom IL or whatever. And you wonder who the whistleblower is. I know there's a lot of theories about a certain someone, about possibly telling Major League Baseball about that. But I don't know. I'll never speculate on who does that kind of stuff, because I think that's just kind of reckless. But just really bizarre. And I wonder what Eppler's future in baseball is going to be like after this. Could he possibly go back to being an agent? I don't know. But there's something just doesn't pass the smell test here, man. I don't know. I'm continuing to have tech conversations and trying to figure out exactly what it is, but I wonder if there's more. But by all accounts, it just appears like it's the phantom IL thing.
Yeah.
And here's another part that I want to mention here too, is the Mets still are trying to figure out who, or if they want to have a GM under David Stearns. And Stearns, obviously, like, he's got a lot of connections throughout baseball. He was in Houston and works with some other people there. He was in Milwaukee and worked very closely with a bunch of different people there. I wonder if some, like, this is just me speculating. This is not sourced or anything. I want to make that clear for all the aggregators out there. I wonder if they could look at either Matt Klein, who is the Brewers, I believe, their director of baseball operations, worked hand in hand with Stearns in Milwaukee, and two are very close. And I know those guys think very highly of one another. And I wonder too if you could possibly look at a guy like Ray Montgomery, who was a high-ranking executive in Milwaukee, now is the Angels' bench coach, and I still think one of the front runners to be their next manager. Could he possibly go to New York and move back into the front office if he doesn't get the Angels managerial job? I don't know. Just me speculating there, but I think those are two names that at least could make some sense. Again, not sourced, just an opinion, but wanted to throw that out there.
Well, they both better stay far away from the Phantom IL, which I assume is an injured list full of phantoms, ghosts, and ghouls for this Halloween season. This is the worst time to put ghosts on the Phantom IL because they are going to come back and haunt you in like 3 weeks, like they haunted Billy Eppler. So bad job there. Make sure that your ghosts and ghouls are aligned with the plan before you put them on the Phantom IL. Speaking of completely bizarre, though, am I the only one to think it's wonky that the Astros fired an assistant GM and a farm director after Game 2 of the ALDS? I mean, I know that those firings had nothing to do with performance. Nobody was reacting to Pablo Lopez shutting down the lineup and being like, we got to get the scouting director out of here. But just another little bit of weirdness. Like, there's always something going on in Houston. Doesn't matter how prosperous they are on the field. They could be getting ready to fire James Click behind the scenes of a World Series champion. And it just strikes me as like more wonkiness. Like, there's always maneuvering going on there, even during what's supposed to be the most important month of the year.
Oh, for sure. And it makes you wonder, and I'll do the old Brian Windhorst.
Yep.
What is going on in Houston?
Aggregators.
But I will say with Houston, the timing of that was really bizarre. And you typically never hear of teams firing or letting go of front office people during the postseason. That's typically done like either in the offseason or like right after the draft. And the fact that they did it now, I wondered, like, for the positive spin, I wondered because I believe their contracts were expiring at the end of the year. I wondered if they were just letting them go early just so they can have a head start and going to other places. That's just, I don't know. That's something that I thought as a possibility. But it's really bizarre timing, and I don't necessarily get it in that fact. And I know that Dana Brown's going to want to have his own people in that front office. And he started that process last year. He hired somebody away from the Toronto Blue Jays. I believe it was Russ Bove. It was a special assistant GM, or he is a special assistant GM now, or special assistant to the GM now in Houston. And I think that clears up room for him to do that process or start that process again. And here's another one too. Here's some more dot connecting for you, Mr. Weinrib. It is so Sarah Goodrum who was let go by the Houston Astros here, previously worked under David Stearns in Milwaukee, and was extremely highly thought of. It's why she was hired by the Astros in what was a big promotion. And I know she's extremely highly thought of in baseball circles and also by David Stearns. And I wondered, with Stearns now in New York and the Mets needing someone else to run their farm system or in a key part of that front office, I wonder if there could be a reunion there. Just dot connecting, just speculation, but I know Stearns likes her. And yeah, I wonder if they could end up teaming up again in New York.
There's a lot of dots floating around waiting to be connected, and they all seem to lead back to Flushing, Queens at this point in time, unless they're Shohei Ohtani related. And I guess the Los Angeles Dodgers are intent on starting their offseason nearly as early as the Mets so that they don't lose any ground in this offseason dot connecting race. Robert Murray, great show as always. We're putting some premature obituaries together for teams that I didn't think we were going to be talking about until next week at the earliest. And we're just probably a couple hours away from doing a full Dodgers offseason deep dive on Thursday's episode, which makes me sad. But we will be live again Thursday. Same time you're used to. Holiday weekend cut into everything this week and moved us off of Monday to Tuesday, but right back at it Thursday, 3:30 Eastern, like y'all remember. And hopefully we'll have a couple more series decided. But you're right. Like you talked about earlier, every single CS all the matchups possible are exciting. We just might not get the teams we anticipated, and we couldn't plan for it, and that's okay.
It is. It is okay. It's what makes baseball so great is how unpredictable it is. But series aren't over yet. A lot of ball games left. Well, crazier things have happened for sure. But sure looks like for Thursday's episode, we're going to be talking about the Dodgers and the Orioles' obituaries on the 2023 season, and what a wild time that will be if that is indeed the case. But I know, Adam, I appreciate you. Justin and everyone else in the comments, we appreciate you as well. Joanne, producer, we appreciate you. We'll see you on Thursday, Adam.
See you on Thursday. Bet365 is the sponsor today. Baseball In is the promo code. The Discord doors are wide open as soon as the show ends. Come join us there. Become a member on YouTube. I don't have a lot of faith in either of these O2 teams coming back. I don't have much faith in anybody derailing the momentum that the Texas Rangers and Diamondbacks have shown for now until potentially the next round. Robert's going with the Rangers and Phillies. I'm going with the Astros and Phillies rematch until proven otherwise, but we shall see. We'll be back Thursday breaking down everything that occurs in the 48 hours between now and then. Until then, see you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.